Hi, this is Rick Harsch again, and this is my master class in fiction. You can skip this in 3 days. Until that time, I think I'm going to talk. Until the 3-day limit is up. Because, I was looking at, for the first time ever, I looked at the analytics that you can, that you can check on YouTube. And, that's probably the best thing to do if you want to be demoralized. You find out that the attention span or the quality of your presentation is troubling. The average viewer is gone really fast. So I get these videos, and for me, I'm a small-time guy with a small-time ambition. And if I get a video with 100 views, I'm just, thrilled. But according to the analytics, just about all my videos, the majority of people, the vast majority of people, have taken off early on. But, the thing is, I know that some people are watching the whole thing. If only my friends Bob or David or probably even Chris and Jeff and Zach, let's say. Maybe George. Now, I'm not saying I don't have any female friends, but I didn't name any women, did I? My wife, she watches the whole thing because I say, hey, watch this, and I stand over her until it's over. Not trying to be intimidating or manipulative, but I just can't help it, Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Or isn't that clever? Isn't that clever? Whatever it is. But I started doing this thing as an antidote to the nonsense being purveyed at cost by well-known writers who said a lot of things that, aside from being just plain stupid, could never apply to the vast majority of writers because nothing does. Nothing does. And the more you think you know about writing, the less you know about writing. A writer has to know their own work, but even that is not necessarily entirely the case. I don't know where some of the finest sentences I've ever written come from. I don't know where the most zany ideas come from. I don't know where the humor comes from. I get ideas, and I know where my worldview comes from. I know where my emotions come from for the most part, but I don't know how it's going to play out on the page until I actually write it down. So all these people like Martin Scorsese, and that's not writing, it's film directing, but still, Marty, come on, a little class, please. Helen Mirren, again, a little class, Helen. We loved you. What's wrong? And in the writing, we got Neil Gaiman, who is really a dipshit, and Joyce Carol Oates, who's a dipshitress. And I just started doing this as a counter to them, just to have fun. And so there's no reason for me to be disturbed by any lack of analytical success. If anybody watches this one, I don't know, you'll know a little more about me. But what I want to talk about, writers probably need more help than they'll ever get. What they need, that I can tell from what I've seen of writers who talk to me and of sites where writers talk to each other, what they need is a little bit of fucking appreciation and encouragement. And so I'm here to offer you a lovely story. My first published book was called The Driftless Zone, or The Selective Outmigration from Small Towns. And my second was Billy Verite, which was the second in a budding trilogy. And the third was The Sleep of Aborigines. Between the second and third, my career took a dive. It was looking good. And then I didn't get the right reviews in the right places. I got all great reviews from Driftless Zone, except from the New York Times. It's the way it goes. The editor of the Times liked it and gave it to someone who didn't. And then I had an agent who was a sociopath, and the best books I wrote before The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas were probably the two books that he refused to represent, or three maybe, I don't know. At least two. No, three. Anyway, one of them is still unpublished, and two have been published, Skulls of Istria and Voices After Evelyn. And critical success, financial failure. Or, well, given my expectations, critical success, financial, so it goes. Well, then I had this incredibly absurd go around with the publisher Riverboat Books and a guy who couldn't be trusted. And I had to pull The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas from that press. And at a time when Chris Villa, a reviewer with a growing following, was about to do a review. So I had to get the books out, but I couldn't sell my book in the United States in time, but many people wanted them, so I borrowed money, and I created a press, not an independent press, but an independent imprint of a Slovene press that I have been involved with in the past, and made the books not for sale in the United States, although some people have managed to. That's why it's called Corona Samizdat. Some people managed to sneak them in to the country. But it's still not sold in the United States. It's not for sale in the United States. So if you live in the United States and you want to know how to get them, through the underground channels that I have created, a little Samizdat rat line, you can get them. And in the meantime, I thought, well, Corona Samizdat, that's nice. You know, what would I like to do as a writer? And this is the point I want to get to. Here I am, 61 years old, and as a writer, I am never going to be famous and highly appreciated, but I'm happy because the people who I trust love Eddie Vegas. It's as good as I thought it was. And actually, so far I've sold 43 of the Corona Samizdat volumes. But then I also thought, what about the other people getting screwed by Riverboat? One of them was David Vardaman, who's a terrific writer. And so I thought, you know, if I could just get him published. And then I got a little writing money. It's a long story, but it has a mixed ending. The book that was going to be bought was ultimately not, but I was still given $4,000 for my efforts and good intentions, I suppose. I don't know. The main point is that I split that money between family needs and publishing, and so I got David Vardaman's book out. And then, while waiting for other books to come out, like George Salas's Sea Above, Sun Below, I thought, why not publish Skulls of Istria my way? And so, you know, and both of these, by the way, are, you know, our pocket books I've shown again and again, and they're just wonderful little books. And so I have the pleasure of returning literature to the pocketbook on a very small scale. But the next one, and this is the main point, what can you do as a writer? Well, you can be as free as you can allow yourself to be. You can be as free as possible. And now that I have this press, Corona Samizdat, if I don't sell enough books, I won't be able to continue, but I will publish at least 5 books, and I hope up to 7. But the next one is going to be the Driftless Trilogy, all in one fat pocketbook. So if you look again at this, okay, the Driftless Zone, or the Driftless Trilogy, is going to be 3 novels in one, and so it's going to be a fat little thing. But the most fun I had with it, I got one of the best cover guys in the business to make the cover on the promise of profits, if there are any. He gets to share my half. And so I got a great cover. And then I put on the, I only put one blurb on the cover. It's a nice blurb, and it's written by a guy nobody has ever heard of. He's not a writer, or if he is a writer, he's an unpublished, promising writer, an Australian person. And on the back, that's one thing I did that I liked. And on the back, instead of the same old fucking blurb shit and description of the book, I had a friend of mine once described me recently. I thought, I like that. I'm going to put that on the back of my book. So in other words, the blurb is for me. It's a blurb of me instead of the book. And then I love to play around with the what do you call that? What is that word? Not not dedications, but the declarations of non-offense, let's call them, where we say that the people in this book are not who they are. It's one of the great lies that you have to tell legally. And anyway, I wrote a long one, and that serves to describe the content of the book. And then I wanted an author photo, and I got a photo of me grabbing the statue of James Joyce on Ponte Rosso in Trieste by the crotch. So the presentation of this book, a friend of mine named Mark Weirs, to whom I dedicate the volume, put a lot of work into fitting these into under 750 pages. And so I've got the content of the book exactly as I want it, as it was. And I have the presentation of the book in a way that says, fuck everything, fuck all of you and your rules, fuck New York, fuck the New York rules, fuck everything except what I like and I think is pure in literature. I hate the blurbs, the salesmanship of blurbs, the nonsense of blurbs. I have used some really great blurbs, and I have only used the ones that I thought were honest, or hoped were honest. But that's beside the point. I still hate fucking blurbs. So undermining that by having the blurb talk about me as a person, and it's kind of funny, and undermining the whole way of producing and selling a book, probably will damn me to publishing purgatory forever, if anybody even notices. But I will be happy with my book. I am happy. It'll be out probably next week, and you'll see it here. And I guess the lesson there, young writers, is be free, and don't do what you think you need to do to succeed if it doesn't feel right. Fuck the revisionists. I mean revisers. Fuck the workshops. Fuck anybody who doesn't feel right. Fuck any advice that doesn't feel right. And be fucking free. If we've learned anything in this horrific century and 2 decades, it's that we need to be free.